Hello, I'm Calamity Jen, and I'm just doing a briefing on what's going on in Clallam County that's reported on Clallam County Watchdog, his social media Saturday posts. And this is from Saturday, April 11th. The article is Policy Meets Reality on Tumwater Creek. And this last section here, called the Weekly Reality Check, is some of the scanner reports that came out in a Facebook post, and then he reshares them. So I'm just going to read through those to kind of give a briefing so that I can get this out to YouTube, and it's just going to be on another platform then for more people to find this information because I'm a fan of that, so I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to read through what he wrote and then just kind of read through all this stuff. So the weekly reality check, this week's scanner reports tell a familiar story. Repeat shoplifters, released again, mental health crises at the transit center, violent offenders cycling through the system, indecent exposure incidents. It's just another week in Clallam County. That's how it goes here. So on April 5th, medics, there was an unresponsive male at the jail, breathing, so that's good, but unresponsive. And then on April 6th at 4:38 in the afternoon in the city, so these are all out of Port Angeles. This isn't Squim or Forks. This is really just Port Angeles, maybe a little county, but Port Angeles. So in the city, Port Angeles, there was an officer running James Magelson, 1976. He had warrants out of Seattle for criminal trespass 3, possibly extraditable, and then non-extraditable out of Kent, also in Washington. That's on a theft 3, and non-extraditable out of New Mexico for failure to appear. So that's someone in the community. Isn't that wonderful? And so again, the Clallam County Scanner report on April 6th at 6:44 p.m. There was a unwanted person at Willie's Smoke Shop. And so if anyone's watching this and isn't from Port Angeles, Willie's Smoke Shop, cigarettes, cigars, vaping, all of that kind of stuff is available there. It's not a dispensary to my understanding. That's actually in the next little post coming up here. So that's Willie's. And I have to say, for anyone who's going to complain about housing affordability, do people know that cigarettes are over $12 a pack in this state? There's like a $3 excise tax on that. They are extremely highly taxed and priced. I didn't know that until going into Walgreens today, and we were checking out and saw the cigarettes behind them, and we were just like, oh my gosh. So, a lot of things are unaffordable, but if people can afford their smokes and their vapes and all that wonderful fun stuff, and they're going to complain about housing prices, I'm not interested in hearing it. So going on here, on April 7th at 8:15 a.m., there was a trespass at Floyd's Cannabis. Now there's a dispensary, and actually they're right across, I think they're on the same block, Floyd's and Willie's. And again, it was James Magelson, and it was the second time this morning he has been dealt with. He was trespassed from there yesterday, and he's in custody for criminal trespass 2. And then they got the inmate detail. Now, in Washington State, I looked this up. They don't give pictures of these people. A lot of that is to do with their rights because they haven't been convicted yet. They may have been charged, but they haven't been convicted. And so it's the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And then they don't want these pictures to get out and like shame posts, which can happen on the internet. So, it seems like you're very well protected if you're the one charged with crimes and all of that. So that's a big reason for it. I kind of find it a detriment because how do we know who these people are walking around in the community? Not to say, shame them. But if I was one of these business owners, because this happens around these businesses, they probably start learning who these people are. But I would want to know as a business owner, who should I be looking out for in this community? But I'm sure sooner or later they find out when they come in all the time and cause problems. So anyway, Magelson, he was booked on the 7th, released on the 8th of April, just like almost 24 hours in there. And then it looks like transport to other agency. He had a bond amount of $7,500, but then it'll show like the total bond and the bail amount was 0. I don't know what that represents. I really don't know how to read these. It reads to me like nothing had to be paid, but I don't know that that's accurate because I don't know how these systems work. So I recognize that. But anyway, he got out and it just says transport to other agencies. So who knows? I'm sure he'll be back because they always seem to come back out here. On April 5th at 3:02 p.m. out in the county, so out in Clallam County, there was a burglary in progress on Ennis Creek Road, question mark, a male and female, and they haven't made entrance to the building yet. And then on April 4th at 7:58 p.m. in the city, the medics, there was a female on the ground yelling for help at the Gateway Transit Center, possible mental crisis. I can understand that. PA, Clallam County, that's a good reason for a mental crisis right there. Cynthia, 1955, no locals on her. She might be new to the area. I hope she is okay, but this is common, and I think it's good this information gets out. I don't like that it might be thought of that this area has no problems because local media, when it comes to sound publishing of Squim Gazette and Peninsula Daily News, this is the stuff that doesn't get reported. It takes independent bloggers and just private citizens to get this information out. So I'm just trying to get this information out in more places. It's not to say don't come out here, don't move out here. I think it's fair to be aware of what is going on out here. I kind of wonder if people ever feel like they've been given this bait and switch when they see one side of this area that's shown in the local media, the popular media, the well-known media, that, oh my gosh, people just go out and play golf and, they go out on whale tours and they hike and it's just such a wonderful little town. And then they get out here, they see the homelessness, they see the encampments, they see the drug addicts, they see what's happening, and it's like, why didn't I read any of this? Where was any of this information at? So here it is, and I think people deserve it. So Clallam County scanner report on April 4th, 9:20 p.m. Oh, good, an indecent exposure just occurred in the city. Isn't that so nice? And so the officers had no probable cause. They did a welfare check. It was a male. So yay for that. And then again on April 5th, 9:21 p.m. in the city, there was a warrant attempt on Amy Jo, question mark. Port Angeles Police Department has probable cause on her for theft at Lincoln Street. So here's an inmate detail they put on her, Amy Jo Zimmerman. So some demographic information on her. So yeah, it looks like she was booked on April 5th, out on the 6th, not even 24 hours in there, released by prosecutor, wonderful prosecutor we have out here. And there's a bond amount. It shows a $5,000, but then again, it all is zeroed out. I don't know what that really indicates, but that's how the report reads. So to me, it doesn't read like there was anything that was paid, but I don't know if that's actually accurate, but that is how it reads to me. And that was on for theft. And of course, someone's going around thieving. We don't get pictures of these people. They're so highly protected. So that's how it works. This is a sanctuary state. The criminals have sanctuary here. That is how Washington State works. So the next one, April 6th at 9:09 p.m. in the city, there was a trespass. This is Martin Swaggerty, highly violent person. No trespass on file for this location. And he was on the scanner this morning too. And now this guy, Martin Swaggerty, the last little briefing video I did, and that was in March, so now we're a month later, he was in that one as well. And yeah, see, there was his booking back in March, on March 9th, and then released on the 10th. So I reported on that one before, gave it a briefing. There he had a bond amount of $10,000, all zeroed out, released by none other than the prosecutor. So theft, and in the past, just at the end of 2025 and into the beginning of 2026, criminal trespass and felony bench warrant. This is the one where, yeah, it was like he's released on the 4th of March, back in 5 days later on the 9th. So this is the Clallam County that maybe not a lot of people are aware of, but this is it. It's probably not the popular stuff, but it's what should be known. And of course, here's a wonderful little quote. The watchdog put in there, bad officials are elected by good citizens who do not vote. So it's a good reason to vote out here. There's always issues with elections, but in such a small area, there's better chances of the elections going in a better direction. I'm always skeptical, but I'm willing to vote in local stuff out here if it could hopefully get better people in. And I talk about this a lot. I don't know what it is that's causing the issues. I don't know if prosecutors throughout the state of Washington, they're not able to do more. I don't know if it's our prosecutor in general for Clallam County. I do not know these things, but this is just the state of things, and that's how it runs out here. So I hope people are able to just take this information, share it, learn from it, understand this is Clallam County. And I don't think it should be hidden. I don't think it should necessarily scare people away. I think it needs to just be information that's out there and people can take from it what they want. So, anyway, that is my little briefing on this week's Social Media Saturday and the Scanner Report. So, okay, I'm back for a quick moment. I remembered I wanted to add this to the end. So, the People's Forum of Clallam County is holding the Town Hall on Public Safety this week, Thursday, April 16th, 2026, starting at 6:30 p.m. and it runs until 8:30 p.m. This is at the Fairview Grange Hall at 161 Lake Farm Road in Port Angeles. It's not in the city, but it's on the Port Angeles side. So if people coming from the east side, like the Squim side, and traveling out there, it's before Deer Park Road, or Deer Park, the cinema area and all that. So just to kind of give an indication of where it's at. So it's not all the way into Port Angeles, the city. The panel will include County Commissioner Mike French, County Prosecutor Mark Nichols, County Sheriff Brian King, and the Port Angeles Police Chief Brian Smith. So having just gone over the Social Media Saturday, the scanner reports from the week, and to just touch on that again briefly, the watchdog Jeff, he talked about a Port Angeles Business Association meeting he went to recently, and somewhere it came out in there, people commenting that not everyone is calling in to the police anymore when they have problems because nothing gets resolved. There's nothing they can do. So people are learning there's just no point in calling in. So what's getting picked up on the scanner, yeah, those are definitely problems that are going on. But for all the calls that aren't going into the police, that's probably looking like, well, crime's going down. Nobody's reporting anything. But that's just because there's no results happening, so people just don't bother. So that's a reality that's happening out here. So this town hall is a great opportunity for people to come out and ask their questions to the panel. This is a free event and all are welcome to attend. And as I say, you don't have to show proof of citizenship. So hopefully anyone who's opposed to the SAVE Act or thinks it's wrong to have to show ID for anything, you don't have to do that to go here. So please, everyone is welcome. I've interviewed Mark Curtis, who has a hand in putting this event together, and they really want they're not looking for a bunch of people who all ask the same questions or think the same way. The more people they can get and bring in diverse views, people who see things differently or have different questions, all are welcome. This is not like just a left or a right thing. It's a community thing. And everyone who is impacted by what's going on, and even if they're not impacted, if you're a taxpayer, these are people, the panel, they are paid from tax dollars. So they are the representatives. So everyone has a right to go out and take part in this. And so their comments here just in their flyer, each panelist will make a brief statement regarding what he anticipates the audience to take away from this town hall. During the audience directed Q&A, priority will be given to members of the Calico Cat Club. So it pays to be a member, and that's understandable. This is to encourage interest in other club activities. And yeah, their club is free to join, no cost, and they meet twice a month over on the Squim side out in Sunland. So there is no timekeeping on panel responses, and panel members will be encouraged to be brief where necessary. All questions shall be directed to the panel as a whole, and panel members are free to answer at their own discretion. And then for information, there's a contact named Donnie Hall, his email address, People's Forum nop@gmail.com, telephone number, and the website 101independence.com, and that's for Highway 101 out here. So that event is going on. I thought this just tied in really well with what the theme of Social Media Saturday is, bringing in those scanner reports, kind of a bit of the crime reports that are happening, things like that. So anyway, just wanted to add that on. So again, thank you everyone for watching. Have a great Sunday, April the 12th.